And after what was probably the intro that woke you and your neighbors up, let me just say welcome back to another video. And today it's another episode of White Noise, and we're going to be exploring the photography of Nikki Sixx, who is mostly known for being the bassist for the American rock band Mötley Crüe. Now, I'm a big fan of Mötley Crüe. I'm gonna try not to be partial about it, but I do have to say that we're gonna rock and roll our way through the video because I have a lot to talk about, and in specific things that we can learn through the photography of Nikki Sixx, or they can be inspiring to our own photography, to our own growth as photographers. If you're new here and you don't know what this show is about, basically it's a show about musicians that are also photographers, and in each episode we explore the different works of a specific person, and basically we try to learn with them the most that we can. So yeah, without further ado, grab yourself a drink, make yourself comfortable, and let's go straight to another video. And while a lot of us might have not known about Nikki Sixx's connection to photography, since we're probably familiar with his name because of his career as a musician, the truth is that he's been doing it since the 80s, and he commented on an interview. When we were coming up in the early 80s and it was all pretty crazy, I have all that stuff on film. Everything from shooting up to people passed out on the floor, I got it all. And whilst researching about Nikki Sixx and this other side of him as a photographer, I read about his idea of instant gratification. And he said, when I started photographing, I had a 35mm camera and I would just snap pictures all the time of what was happening on the road and backstage. Being a kid from Jerome, Idaho, shooting a sunset in Australia was amazing. Just basically shooting and documenting my life was instant gratification. I'd get the film back and start to think of things I could do differently, and gradually I got more into the idea of not just snapping a picture. And as I read this idea of gratification, I kind of immediately connected to it, because I do feel a lot of gratitude for photography, in a sense that I feel grateful for the places that I get to see, the people that I get to meet, what I get to capture, and really the images as well, and all the memories attached to them. I think this is very important to feel grateful about this. And I think a lot of us go about our lives and forget to be grateful for these little things, for these experiences. And I think this is very important because it'll keep us focused, centered, and kind of humble enough to be able to progress with our journey, whether that is as a professional photographer, as kind of like someone who does it as a hobby, or as just an artist, whatever we do if we incorporate photography into our art and we deal with other medias. But anyway, I wanted to say this because I also feel that it's very important to, as a photographer, feel grateful for our biggest mistakes, our biggest achievements, and everything we get to experience in the way as we photograph and as we kind of like develop our style or what we love to do. And if you have time, I'd like to do just a little note about the Like a Camera blog, where Nikki was interviewed a couple of times, and he does talk about the stories behind his photos. It's really interesting to see how he met these people and how he developed a sort of like a connection with them and what he photographed them, why he photographed them. And I think it's really, really interesting, and it gives you a bit more context to just this video and just these images, even though I'm going to be talking about some of the whys and some of his intentions. But yeah, keep an eye out for it. And according to Nikki Sixx, it's about capturing moments that really impacted him. And when we talk about impact, Nikki Sixx dealt with addiction for many years of his life. However, despite the fact that he is now recovered, these years of addiction have had a profound impact in his life. And one of my favorite things to learn about his photography was how he uses his experience to look for subjects and themes whilst doing street photography. And one of Sixx's recurring subjects seems to be precisely people dwelling with addiction. And according to the photographer, he photographs them to document life and to create awareness for very serious issues such as addiction. And looking at Sixx's example, it fits like a glove for when we talk about forming a style and finding what we're looking for with our photography. Because Nikki Sixx is the perfect example that teaches us that this search for our style and for what we're looking for, more often than not, starts within ourselves and the things that impacted us the most, and how they affect the way we see the world and what subjects we want to capture. And now on a short note, but very important one, The photography of Nikki Sixx also teaches us that there's no boundaries. Shoot with what you want to shoot, as long as you do it. Just try different things and remain open to new opportunities and new experiences. That's one of the most vital things with any art form, including photography. And Sixx has shot with many different cameras, even though these days he shoots most exclusively with Leica cameras, like the Leica Q or the Leica M10. But throughout the course of his life, he shot with many other cameras, including large format photography and even trying wet plate photography. And I think this is a very important lesson and one that is totally worth mention, especially as we reach the end of today's video, and I'd like to leave you with some motivation and hopefully inspiration from Nikki's photography. And this idea of no boundaries, no rules is a really important one that I'd like to, of course, close the video with. Because to me, it's very important to look at someone else's work and feel inspired. And one of the things that I wanted to do with this video is as well inspire you into continuing your journey and motivating you. And like we've seen with the example of Nikki Sixx, he tried out so many different cameras, so many different types of photography. I think this is very interesting. And in essence, you can't find your path as a photographer or an artist if you don't try it first, if you don't try many things first and know what feels right and what feels wrong. And I think this is one of the things that I've learned with this photography, and I'd like to pass it on to you. So yeah, I hope it's a good idea, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed going through Nikki Sixx's photography. And I wanted to say on a brief note that we talked about a very serious issue today. Obviously, the photos highlighted a very serious issue in society, and unfortunately, it's an issue that is very overlooked these days. And I'd like to say that as Nikki wants to create awareness for this, I'll also like to create awareness for this with the video because I think it fits a lot as well. And I'll be leaving links down below to charities, support groups, and other points of information where you can, if you know somebody that needs help, can get some help. Or if you want to help somebody out there, you can do so. So yeah, I guess that it's been all for today. Links to my work will be down below, and I'll see you here for another video very soon. So stay safe, keep shooting film, subscribe for a cookie. Peace.